tonight's episode. I'm super excited. I get to sit down with Mike from Joey's Songs Charity. Tonight, I get to talk to him about how he started the charity and what music has to do with the charity and how, meeting some of the people along the way and the stories and the journey and how he got into it and why this charity means so much to him. So, guys, sit back, pour up a drink, and enjoy another episode of The Garage Mafia. All right, Mike. Nice to finally meet you, man. Nice to get you on here.
I'm glad you invited me, Tony. I am looking forward to this.
Thank you for coming on the show. So I was just reading up a little bit about your story, and I love to talk to passionate people, and I think you have a really unique, different story, and I love that you're into music too. Who doesn't like music? And I think my guests would really enjoy to hear your story and your journey and how you got to the charity and everything that comes with it, all your music, all your shows. So if you want to start out, has music always been in your life?
For the most part, yeah. Certainly not in creating it because you would never want to hear me sing and or play guitar. I the neighborhood cats complain about me. But I've always been a music fan. And back when I was in college in the 80s, I had literally the greatest job you can have while being in college. I worked at a music venue, 1,000-seat music venue back in the '80s, and so we got a lot of the MTV bands on the way up, so Cougar and U2 and REM and
Oh,
Pat
nice.
Bennett, you name it. We got them in a lot of the '60s bands on the way down, and I was both a DJ there and also worked in the marketing department. So got to some pretty good exposure to music, and I understood how it worked. Now, I did not go on to do that as a career, actually, but that Madison in the '80s will be critical a little bit later on in our story here. I actually went on to work for IBM for my adult career. So
Okay.
blue suits, white shirts, not the long hair that I have today, and
Huh.
certainly not the tattoos that I have today. But
Not
um,
allowed in the office. I agree.
yeah, understood, man, completely on all fronts. But I had enough experience with the music business, and obviously a career at IBM taught me how to project manage and do a lot of things that are critical in doing something like this. So we fast forward ahead. Um, my wife and I moved up to Madison to raise a family, and we are fortunate we adopted three wonderful kids, each from Guatemala. And the third of those kids was my son, Joe. And a couple months after Joe came home, he had his first seizure. And it took us a very long time to figure out what was the causes of those seizures. It ended up being a really rare form of epilepsy. Epilepsy is like a spectrum disorder, kind of, like there's no one cancer, there's no one epilepsy. There's lots of
It's
different
different types.
causes, and there's lots of different ways it manifests itself. And unfortunately, in 2010, just a couple weeks shy of his fifth birthday, we lost Joe. And so we as a family, and I had been thinking about trying to do something to raise money anyway. At the time, the prognosis was not going to be good. He was going to need 24/7 care his entire life. And I had thought about trying to do something to help the next family. And so in my brain, I went back to my music days, because I like music. And if anybody's watching on the video, you can see I've got all my everything around me. I got
Absolutely.
my Grateful Dead dancing bears, and there's Jerry, and so all sorts of stuff. Um, and so music seemed a logical way to do it. Part of the reason, Tony, was that Joe's Gervais also made him nonverbal, so he couldn't speak, but he could communicate and dance and loved music. I mean, not just liked music, but loved music, right? So the planets kind of aligned when it was time to figure out a way to make money. And not that there's anything wrong with a golf tournament or a gala or walks or all the ways that a lot of charities make money.
Yeah.
But I thought we're going to try something different, right? And so we started this charity. And now to call back when I said being in the '80s would be important, there was another gentleman kicking around the Madison music scene in the '80s called Butch Vig. And if you're a music person, you know Butch's work because you've listened to Nirvana's Nevermind and Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dreams and Foo Fighters and Green Day and Sonic Youth, and the list
That's a
goes
nice
on and
list.
on and on. Yeah, right. Godfather of grunge. And Butch has his own band, Garbage, Only Happy When It Rains, and all these songs that everybody knows. Well, Butch was just Butch back in those days. Now he's three-time Grammy winner, Butch Vig. Now he's a big deal, but I called on my pal Butch and I said, "We gotta start to do something," and of course, he said, "Yes." And that's what we led to Joey's song, and I'll take a breath there and you can ask questions, but I'll tell you a little bit as we go on, I'll talk about what the actual concert is, but that's how we got to this point. We
Okay.
had we needed to raise money to give the families that are getting the same kind of diagnosis we did 15 years ago to know that somebody's out there fighting, because they're sitting in a neurologist's office right now getting a terrible diagnosis and the crap is scared out of them. They don't know what to do. And they're going to be spending all their time working on that. So they need to know that, the outside world, we're lifting up our brothers and sisters that need that lift.
You know what, Mike? You said it there perfect. And this is why I love to talk to people like you. By the way, thank you for all that you do for the charity and getting it started for other people, because that's what it's about. For me, it's about
Right.
community. It's about other people, selfishlessness. I feel
Right.
today's world is it's a little bit about me and, a little. That's why I really wanted to talk to you. You're the type of person that I love and my audience loves speaking to. I mean, you went and did something that you had no idea about, just based off the thought that you don't want people to go through the same thing that you
Yeah.
and your family went through. I mean, that alone
Yeah.
right there says a lot about your character, brother. I love it.
Oh,
I
well,
love it.
thank you. That's very sweet, man. I appreciate it. There's an article from one of the local papers talking about not knowing where I was going or what we were going to do from one of the local papers for our first series of stuff. And there's a quote in there. I said, "Boy, if we can write a $500 check to the Epilepsy Foundation, I'm going to consider this a win." And here we are 15
Beautiful.
years later and above $2 million raised. And
Wow.
yeah, but you're absolutely right. We just kind of dove in head first and said, "Let's see what we can do," and let the universe take us wherever it was going to take us.
That's a beautiful thing, the universe. I like that. Now,
Yeah,
with besides the universe taking, the lead too, how did you guys go about? Because I know nothing about charities. So how
right.
did you guys speak to somebody? How did you start to navigate
Yeah.
that journey?
Great question. Yes, the answer is yes. You get to the point, I was in my early 50s when we started this charity. So at that point, I had a lifetime of friends that had been a part of it. Not the least of which is one of my best friends from college is a big wig attorney at a big business law firm in Milwaukee. And that's really the first place that you start. What do I need to do legally? What are the documents? What does the government require? Because you can get swallowed up in
Yeah.
paperwork, as I'm sure everybody would probably guess. You know, um, that and then I figured out the accounting. Those were the 2 I figured, what are the 2 things that I can screw up and really get in trouble, right? If I do something that's not legally right and if our books aren't clean, right? And so those were the first 2 and then, of course, I had the idea of, "Okay, what can we do in music?" and all that other stuff. But that's really where I started is make sure you have good legal advice and make sure you have somebody right away that sets up your accounting whatever in the way that it needs to be done. And then you can kind of go where the wind blows, right? And look for those opportunities. Obviously, when you're recruiting people and your story starts with my 4-year-old son died, I need your help, most people, not everybody can help, but most people are gonna
That's right.
listen, and if they can't help, they'll say, "My brother is a copyright attorney," or, "My sister designs websites," or whatever it is, and then you kinda go on that, it takes a village mentality, and that's what it does. No, not just to raise a child, as Hillary said, but it takes a village for us all to get through because the world is so complex and so confusing, and if you just go into it with an open heart and ask the questions with the right intentions. I'm humbled every day by the amazing people, both super famous and that not so famous that want to help and help us do this. It really reminds you how great people can be because it's sure easy to forget that sometimes with the way the world's going these days.
Now, if you can remember everything, because I'm sure you've done tons of shows by now too. What was the mindset of the first show you got together for Joey? The first, act or however again, how
Yep.
crazy were you feeling? What was that like?
So we actually started out this was not gonna be live shows, to be honest with you. We
Okay.
did CDs. So if you take your mind back to 2010 when we started this, the idea was CD so if you back in those days that you would do these charity or these compilation CDs that would have rare and unreleased tracks, a B-side. This was before where's my phone? I don't oh, here it is. This was before every song you ever wanted to hear was on this little device, right?
Yep.
Back in those days, to get that B-side or that live recording or whatever it was a really big deal, or to get a demo, because this was before you had the deluxe executive version, the super deluxe executive all this stuff that you could
Yeah.
have. Problem is that was if 2010 was right around the time when Apple iTunes was breaking and Napster was still a thing, it was right around the time the whole world decided not to pay for music anymore, right? Or to pay
Yep.
0.0001 cent per stream, which isn't a good way to raise
LimeWire.
money if you're Yep, exactly. So we but what we did do, which led us to this path, is every time we would do one of those CD releases, we ended up putting on 5 CDs before I finally went, "This is not working out." You would do a CD release party, right? And so we'd get a couple artists. So the very first one of these we actually did down in Chicago. We're up in Madison, Wisconsin, but
That's where
my
I'm at.
wife and I my wife and I, she's born and raised in Chicago, and we met in Chicago when I worked for IBM down there. And that was at this point, we'd only been back up in Madison. I grew up here, but we came back to raise the family. We'd only been up here for a couple years, so most of our friends and family were actually in Chicago, which is why we did it down there. So we found a sports bar out in one of the suburbs, set up a rudimentary PA, got a couple of our performers, Michael McDermott, who's a singer-songwriter from Chicago, Freedy Johnston, who's still with us to this day, and they sang some songs, and people came and donated money, and we made, $12,000, and I was over the moon. Could not
Wow.
now, part of it was because one of my really dear friends got a little too drunk and paid $3,000 for a Blackhawks, Stanley Cup champion signed hockey stick, which he regretted the minute he did it, but then I had his money, and there was nothing he was gonna do about it.
Nice.
Um, yeah, that's that God bless alcohol sometimes. Um, so that was all you asked the question, how did I feel? I had no idea. I First of all, I had a couple emotional moments because that afternoon was when the first set of CDs showed up and I held them in my hand. Had to go and take a moment by myself and talk to Joe for a little bit and say, I can't. I'm again, my expectations were really low. And the fact that that piece of vine or plastic, whatever a CD is, came out was something I wasn't sure I'd ever see, let alone all this. And then every year it just kind of kept building and building, but absolutely went into it having no clue where this was going to go.
Nice, nice. So with that, so now you started with the CDs and then obviously it
Yep.
branched off into the shows, correct?
Yes, correct.
What was like the first show that you felt like we've done it? You know, you've
Yep.
truly, you lived in Joey's honor and you were very
Yep.
excited for, finally getting the cause out there and it was making movement. What was that moment
Yep.
like for you and when was that moment?
Yeah. There's a there's there's two different moments, I would say. The first was back in 2016 when we were starting to sell tickets to people that I didn't know, right? Because when you do a charity, right, your friends and family and the
Yeah.
community kind of does that, right? We did a show at a 400-seat venue here with Rhett Miller, who's a singer-songwriter from the old 97s. Fabulous band. If you don't know the old 97s, you need to know the old 97s. And a few other folks, and we had lots of people there that I didn't know. So that was the first time I went, "Okay, we can," it's not gonna be me every year just going to my friends and family and neighbors and getting them to buy a $30 concert ticket and a T-shirt. There's something here. The next one was probably 2019. I'll tell you 2 stories. If you got 3 minutes, I'll tell you a story
Uh,
about it kinda was
Whatever you
in
want to talk
28
about.
it kinda was in 2018 and it bled into 2019, and let me explain. So, 2018 is when Butch got involved, right? The
Okay.
famous Butch Vig got involved, and we did a concert at a 600-seat venue, um and with him was some of his bandmates, Duke Erickson, who's the guitar player in Garbage, and Freedy Johnston, who I mentioned, and a few other folks. And they just did covers. We did a 90-minute show and a couple local bands open. Um, but during that week, as we were preparing for it, Butch had done some press. And a couple days before the show, my phone's going nuts, crazy. And I'm trying to get crap done. People are going, well, who's coming to the show? Who's going to be at the show? And I'm like, It's on the poster." And if people finally said, "No, no, no, Butch was in the paper today, and he was saying you never know who's," and the name of their band is the Know It All Boyfriends. That's what they call themselves when they do these kick around shows. Because "You never know who's
Right.
gonna be at a Know It All Boyfriend." So all of a sudden, the rumor mill's saying Dave Grohl's gonna be here, or Billy Corgan's gonna be here, or Billy Joe Armstrong's, you know what I mean? Everybody's thinking of all these amazing people that Butch has
People.
produced, and I didn't know. So anyway, show was very successful, and that after that, we were sitting having a beer. It was September, and we were having it. You could still have beers outside in Wisconsin, and I told him that story, and he kinda laughed, and all of a sudden, we both looked at each other and said, "That's actually a really good idea. Let's start inviting people to join us. The Know It All Boyfriends will act as a house band. We'll get people to come and join us." So that's kinda part one of when I really started. So that next year we started doing that. And obviously, if I can talk to musicians and say, this Grammy winning producer is my musical director, people will at least listen to me, right?
Gonna
They
help,
might not
yeah.
be able to help, but they'll listen. And that's 98%. It's like being a salesman. It's being able to get past the knocking on the door. And that first year that we did that, we had Brian Ray, who you may not know his name, but he's Paul McCartney's guitar player and has been for
Oh,
the
wow.
last 30 years. So if you've ever seen Sir Paul, the blonde guy over on the right, that's Brian.
Yeah.
He came and did our show. Chris Collingwood from Fountains of Wayne came and did our show. Miguel Cervantes, who played Hamilton on Broadway for 4 years, the lead role, the Alexander Hamilton role after Lin-Manuel, came and did our thing. That's when I knew we were on to something that was resonating with both obviously people coming to the show, but artists, that we had something. Because then, to be honest with you, Tony, my life got easier because now my artists are my best recruiters, right? Because they all know it's a very the you know
Tight
the
community.
I don't want to say big time music scene, but the people that really make a living in music, it's a relatively small community. And so once they're there to see that it's a good, so and so then calls and so and so suggests this person to me and all that. So when that 2019 show, when we had people connected with Hamilton and Paul McCartney and all that other stuff coming and doing our thing, then I knew we had stumbled onto the formula.
Man, listening to this too, this is beautiful, man. I love that it got rolling for you. I love the cause. Now, when it comes to the charity though, how does so the ticket sales go to that or how or people donate money
Everything.
during
So
the
we are
shows?
great question. We are a 100% volunteer organization. I don't take a salary. I do this is I'm retired from my that's why I got to grow my hair.
Yeah.
Um, I'm retired from my career, and fortunately we're well off enough where I can do that. This is my
Do
hobby.
that.
And it's really important that I say this next point. All of these artists don't take a penny to perform. They
Oh,
all
wow.
volunteer their time. So Vicky and Debbie Peterson from the Bangles, and Jane Weedland and Gina Shock from the Go-Go's, and Johnny Resnick from the Goo Goo Dolls, and Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick, and Kurt Smith from Tears for Fear. You go through the list. All these people that are on our website, they don't take a penny, and they come to town for 3 and 4 days, right? It's not like they're in and out, they fly in that afternoon, sing 2 songs, and go. So, other than the costs of putting on the show, and they're substantial, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not cheap to put on a rock and roll show to do it well. All the money turns around, and we put most of it goes to and so it's ticket sales, merch, auction items, and then we get sponsors, right? And so all of that, then we turn around and we use an organization out of Chicago called Cure. Cure Epilepsy is their formal name. It is run by Susan and David Axelrod. Axe, if you watch CNN, is on CNN. He was President Obama's chief strategist when the
Yes.
president was in the Senate, and was his strategist for, I think, the first 6.5 years. Anyway, so they have a daughter that is in her 40s. Lauren might even be in her 50s by now, who is in a care home because epilepsy just ravaged her. And so they focus 100% on research, which appeals to us. We want to
Nice.
work to find treatments and cures as quickly as possible. So we put on these shows, we count up the receipts, we pay the bills, and then we turn around and we hand the money over to them because they can figure out what the right research grants are. Because I read those things and I glaze over. I don't understand, because you're talking
Yeah.
about people that are doing like genetic splicing and all this
It's
stuff.
getting crazy now. They're very advanced.
I mean, so hopeful and so amazing because what Joe, my son, had was a genetic issue. So when they're talking about, being able to fix genes and going in and turning whatever it is, I mean, that's crazy stuff, but that's where the hope lies. So anyway, they helped me figure out where I should give the money.
No, even on the topic you had too, and I've done a little research on that as well too. Not that much, but like all the stem cell stuff they got going on right
Yep.
now to like regenerate tissue and all that. I mean,
Yep.
it's advancing, farther than I ever thought. Coming up as a little kid, hearing about some of the stuff. We're definitely on the
Oh,
right
yeah.
path to some big in the future, some big advances in the medical field as well.
Agreed. Completely agree.
Now, with all the shows too, like I know you've met, like you've said, you've met some of these, bigger names and stuff like that, and they've
Yep.
just through their community passed on and got other acts for you as well.
Yep.
Have you met or been in contact with maybe some of the families that you've actually helped, like through your
Oh, yeah.
charities, or if anybody's reached
Oh,
out and
yeah.
thanked you?
That's the best part of it. The best, absolutely the best part of it. Um, I'm pretty much a madman the 2 months leading up to the show just 'cause, I'm a one-man band. You're not only seeing Joey Song International headquarters here in my basement, but you're also seeing Joey Song's staff, which is me. Now I got tons of volunteers. I don't mean to portray it that I'm a
Yeah, yeah.
one-man band that way. But it's all me to organize and coordinate it. The first moment I get to breathe is after that last note on the last song of the show. Lights go up. I can finally exhale, maybe crack a beer. It is Wisconsin after all. Um, and then I kind of wander around, and a lot of those people stick around because the venue doesn't kick everybody out right away. It's at a really nice 2,500 capacity venue here in Madison, brand new state of the art facility, and people hang ar well, a lot of people hang around afterwards because 'cause they're also hoping, and a lot of the artists come out and mingle and do all that because these are artists that are usually playing, stadiums,
Stadiums. Yeah.
and they love playing these small things, right? And they actually get to come out and take pictures and sign autographs. But anyway, there's always 4 or 5 people that stick around and because they wanna say hello and they wanna tell me their story, because I can't point to anybody that I directly help because when you're supporting research, it's hard to, make a one-to-one connection. But
Yeah.
they're thinking the same thing that you just were, which is we gotta keep speeding up this process. We gotta keep speeding this up sooner, you know what I mean? Because lessen that because that's a battering that the brain takes when they have those seizures. So, yes, a cure would be great, but even a treatment that reduces seizures by 50%, 75%, hell, even
Longevity.
10% is good, right? So, those are the people that are coming up and saying that how I started this, "Thanks for fighting for us." And doing it in a way that's not sad. Yeah, I mean, what I like to say to people is what we do is serious, how we do it is not, right? It's a
Yep.
light, fun you've got, rock stars on the stage telling their story, why they're here, but they're singing AC because that's the other thing I should point out, Tony, is they're not doing their song. They do some of their hits, but we're forming super groups all night. So it's not like the Bangles come and do 30 minutes of Bangles. They might do Manic Monday and one other song, but then they're doing a Beatles song with the guys from Fountains of Wayne, and then they're doing an
Oh,
AC/DC
nice.
song with Garbage, and so it's really a night of the world's greatest live jukebox, more so than anything else. My point is, people see that, and they see the fun that the artists are having because everybody's screwing up. We've got like 2 days to rehearse, a 3-hour show. So there's a lot that we leave to chance. but I think that's the magic of it because um, they see people having a good time up on the stage. I think that's part of it, but again, to answer your question, that's why people come up and talk, and that yeah, I cry at grocery store openings, so to get me to cry isn't a big deal, but when those people come up and tell you their story and how important what we do is to them, I bawl like a baby.
Uh, on something you said earlier, so I used to, if you're familiar with, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's Joe's on Weed Tree and Joe's Live here. I used to work here
Oh,
for a
yeah.
long time, and
Yep.
they do live shows like that too. And it's man, I don't know if you plan to do that. I know you said earlier Joey loved music. Um, so I think it's really cool how you did the charity tied to music because there's nothing like a live concert that
Right.
brings people together. I mean, I love like listening to a live concert is then different than listening to it on the radio or at home or whatever. Being there, feeling the music, feeling the vibrations, feeling the stage, seeing all the people,
And watching
it's
the
just
interaction. Yeah, absolutely, man.
absolutely. So it's
Yeah.
like to come around a cause as well. I mean, I've never been to a live concert that was around a charity or a cause as well.
Yep.
And I mean that for me, gives me goosebumps just talking about it right now. I think it's beautiful how that is. And
Yeah.
something you said earlier too. I used to meet a lot of bands. They were normally country bands.
Yep.
Meet a lot of guys, and these were big guys. We're talking Luke Bryan, people, stuff
Yep.
like that do arenas and stadiums. And they would
Yeah.
say, to your point earlier, that they love doing this. They love doing little bars like this or, little venues like this because, they're able to interact with people one on one,
Yeah.
more to their fans. And it's a beautiful thing.
And they can literally see their everybody's face, right? Because if
Absolutely.
you've ever and I've been fortunate, not performing, but I've been on the stage at a large venue when the lights are down, and you only see the first row or 2 because there's the
Yeah.
security pit, and then the lights are going this way, not that way. And at our venue, you well, first of all, everybody can also see the facials. Y Getting back to that interaction, right, between the artists is so critical, and everybody in the venue can see that and can see them laugh when so and so screws up and, the guitar comes unplugged and, there's not any
Yeah.
roadies plugging them in, the guys gotta do it themselves, right? And the artists can see the faces going out the other way. One of the examples I give to everybody is Johnny Resnick from Goo Goo Dolls has done our show the last couple years, and Johnny's
Nice.
just a rock star, right? And everybody knows Iris, everybody knows that song, and as soon as he starts playing it, but he's got he's got the cool rock star moves of letting him sing the chorus and everything. But when he does it at a stadium, it's just noise. When he does it at our venue, you can literally hear the people, you know what I mean? And they're looking in
Yep.
Johnny's face as he's singing it. Or Rick Nielsen does from Cheap Trick, and Rick's thing is flipping guitar picks out to people. And there's just a closeness that you get that you just can't get at a large venue. But being at a large venue is better than just listening at home because at least because you're also experiencing it with your friends and you're experiencing the good vibes
It's
and everything as
experience.
well.
Yep.
So, yeah, as I said before, there's nothing wrong with golf tournaments and galas and walks and all the other things we all got to find a way to raise some money. We just happen to stumble on something that's truly a one of a kind thing. And I, it's Butch, when Butch helps me recruit some of the artists, he says it's like rock camp for musicians, right? Because they get to come, they don't have to carry the show, right? When they're doing their own thing, I'll keep using Johnny as an example. When Johnny's doing a Goo Goo Dolls show, everybody eyes are on him and he's got to carry it for 90 minutes or 120 or whatever they do in their sets. Now he comes out, he sings a Tom Petty song, he sings a Goo Goo Dolls song, and then does backing vocals on something. No pressure. And they all do that. And they get to hang out with felt because even though the community's small, they may know of these people, but they may not know them well. By the time we leave Madison, it's like having been at summer camp. Everybody's exchanging phone numbers and text
Yep.
threads are
Making
starting,
friends.
and it's awesome. It's just awesome, man.
Um, Now, I know I've been talking about the shows a lot. I'm excited. I love
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
do, man. That's why I wanted to talk to you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now
Cool.
I'm in Chicago. I got a lot of people out here too. And I would love to as well. Go check out the show. What
Yep.
like what are do like what do you have a website, or how does
Yeah.
somebody get in contact with you?
Yeah, so there's a website, joeysong.org. Remember to do the 2 S's in there, JOEYSSONG.org. We'll announce, so it's announcing is kind of a funny thing for us. Everybody keeps coming back. To be honest with you, it's a good problem to have. So if you go to the
Yep.
website and see all the artists that are up there, the odds are pretty good that most of them are going to. Not everybody can always come back. So if
Yeah.
you go right now, you'll get a good idea of the artists we have. We announce. We always bring in new people, and we've got 4 or 5 new people. A couple of them are pretty cool. We'll usually announce that in September. But go to the website. There's a mailing list. We don't spam you. We're not gonna sell it to Avon to sell you, cologne and deodorant. And or follow us on all the socials. We're Joey Song on all of them, on Instagram and Facebook, again, all one word. If you do that, then you'll see
Two
all the
S's as well.
announcements. What's that?
Sorry to cut you out. Two S's as well
Yes, 2 S's
on the
as
website.
well.
Okay.
Yes. And so on all the socials, Joey Sung, and you can. Again, we always do pre-sale for our social media and website folks. So if you're on that, we always, because we sell out almost every year. We don't. I'm being a bad salesman now. I should say we sell out in 24 hours. We don't sell out in 24 hours, but we do sell out. And which is why we want to make sure that we keep rewarding the people that come back. And so if you follow us, we'll give it. There'll
Absolutely.
be a pre-sale code and all that kind of stuff when the time comes. So
Nice. Now
yeah,
how many shows are you doing a year?
we do two. Well, we keep experimenting. We only do the shows in January right now, so it's just that one weekend. This
Okay.
year, it's January 8 and 9. The Saturday format is always the same, and it's this live jukebox kind of thing, and we do some fun stuff with the boys versus girls. We do a battle of the bands, right, where the crowd votes, but,
Nice.
of course, the women always win because
Yeah.
they're much just better rockers than the men are. And then we try to do a different show on Friday. So last year we did an acoustic show and had everybody
Nice.
came out with their acoustic guitar and did like a storyteller's thing, right? And told the story behind their hits, which was just phenomenal, just amazing. You know, the crowd liked the stories as much as the songs, right? Because you hear these, how because Jane Weedland wrote "Our Lips Are Sealed," the Go-Go song. What's the story behind that? Why did you write it? Why was it important? But and go right down the list. Smith from Tears for Fears explained what
Nice.
everybody wants to rule the world is about, right? Which is a super big
I'm a big
song
fan
again.
of them, by the way.
Oh yeah, and he is such a nice man. Oh my god, they're all such great people, right? And so we did it. So this year, right now, the plan is for the Friday night show to be one that's I Want My MTV, and we're going to all do these covers of the MTV songs from the '80s and early
Nice.
'90s, but how do I say this without sounding, like I'm degrading it, but kind of the kitschy ones, like, Safety Dance and all it's meant to be fun and not serious, right? Kind of thing, and,
Yeah.
so I think that's what we're gonna do on Friday, and so you'll get and some of the artists, like Kurt from Tears for Fears, we may do Everybody Wants to Rule the World, but Kurt won't do it. We'll get Jane from the Go-Go's to do, so just to make it fun and silly and all that. So we do at least 2
Absolutely.
shows on that weekend, but every year we make it a little bit different.
I love that. I love that. I love the idea of like the super bands too. I love that. It's
Oh,
kind of like, I feel like the artists get to be them for themselves. I'm not a big artist, but they get to go back
yeah.
to what they love, just making music and sing what they like. And I love that. I mean, I love that experience for them as well too.
Oh,
So
and but you're absolutely right. That gets back to that Butch's quote about rock camp for musicians, right? They get to come because they can't play 5 covers. If they're doing their regular show, people wanna hear
their music,
the
yeah.
Bangles songs or the Tears for Fears songs or the Go-Go song. I mean, Jane Weedland did last year, and she did I won't say the F word, but F the NRA, the Youngblood song, because she would never do
Yep.
that in a go-go show, and everybody was like, just loving it, right? Loving it, and, the reason the girls ever win every year is because they choose the right kind of songs. 2 years ago, they did Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC. and Come On Feel the Noise by Quiet Riot /
Nice.
Slate. I mean, yeah, and you get the crowd, all
I like
going.
that.
It's unbelievably fun. Unbelievably fun.
Now, how many concerts have you done so far? You said you started 2016, right?
Well, the first ones were 2011 was that one at the sports bar in, I don't even know if it was
Okay.
Lyle or where it was, down by you. Um, we have done the easiest way to say it is because 2 years ago, we did 4 shows because I was crazy, and that ju we did 4 shows over a weekend, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Um, but years that we've done concerts other than the COVID years, we've done something every year since 2011, other than 2020 and 2021, we weren't able to because of COVID. So whatever that is,
Yeah.
we've done 13 weeks of
Nice.
shows, and I don't know what the exact number is, but yeah, a lot.
Now, I saw too, just so anybody listening could find you as well too. I saw you got some YouTube presence as well too. Is there anything else like a weekly like show like this as well that people can watch and stay connected with your cause?
We will I have a podcast. The best way to do that is to go to the Joey Song podcast. Once we get right now, all of my artists are doing what artists do in the summer, which is tour. So getting to
Yeah.
people is a little bit difficult. But once we get into the late summer, I'll start doing weekly interviews with my artists, and we'll offer it up
Nice.
if people want to submit questions. So again, I'm very simple here. Joey Song Podcast. You can find it on all of the platforms. And so just about everybody that's on that list. So if you're a big fan and have always wanted to ask Kurt Smith or Johnny Resnick or Rick Nielsen a question, so
Well, I'll be
that's a
watching.
great yeah, that's a great way. That's a great way to do it too. And that you get to connect with these people as people, which it's really easy to forget that that's who they are. And they're, like I said to you earlier, they're just all such nice people. They're giving me 5 days of their life in January in Wisconsin, and most of them live in LA, right? They're
It's
giving me
cold.
their time. They come and freeze for, a ham sandwich and 2 beers, which is about what they get. So they've gotta be nice. Their heart's gotta be in the right place.
Mike, that's why I was inspired in your story too, and that's why I really want to talk to you because there's just something to be said about like you just said, there are people as well too, and just real conversation like we're having right now. I feel like I don't want to get political about it, but all the tablets and phones and
Yep.
people just aren't having these conversations anymore, and you know um we're just losing that. As human beings, we need that. We need that community. We need to talk. We need to get out, whatever it may be, problems, shoot the shit, whatever you want to call it. And this is why I started my podcast.
Yep.
I used to fight MMA and I used to travel. I used to travel the world and meet a lot of different people, different walks of
Yep.
life. And I love to realize that we're just all the same. We
Yep.
all have different stories, different journeys, and a real conversation. There's something to be said about that. And I feel we undervalue it nowadays, and I'm trying to bring it back.
We are pack animals by nature, right? We are
Absolutely.
pack animals. We are like my 3 dogs. Yes, I'm one of those 3 dog people.
I got dogs
All
too.
all rescues, by the way, yes. Adopt, don't shop. To all your listeners, I will get political. Adopt, don't shop, because there's
Absolutely.
hundreds of thousands of dogs in shelters right now that are looking for a home, and they're
I agree.
wonderful because they know anyway, that's right. That's a soapbox I will get on to anybody. I'll stay away from the politics, but I will get on the
We
adopt,
have
don't
2
shop.
beagles, believe me, and all this stuff going on with the beagles right now. We're
Which is
aggravated. Yeah.
right up by us. I met one no, I'm gonna get us off the track. I met one the other day at the dog park here in town. I felt like I was meeting a celebrity. This
Yep.
woman got out of her car with this little beagle, and I just looked at her and I said, "Is that one?" And she said, "It is." And
Oh, man, that's beautiful.
I was like a schoolgirl meeting, Harry Styles. I was like, "Oh my,
Yeah.
can I pet?" Yeah, so great. But we are pack animals. We made it to where we've evolved to by being with each other and cooperating. Some points in history not as well as others, but overall, right, it's when we began to become hunter gatherers and
Yep.
again, I don't want to turn this into an anthropology TED talk,
You're
but
good.
we are by nature that, and anything we can do to instill that and do is right. And that's again what gets back to the one of the fun things about being at a concert with a whole bunch of people you don't know, but you all love that song that that guy's singing, you know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
It brings us together too. I mean, I just feel like another thing, not to get off topic, nowadays that a lot of us, we've had hate in the past, but there's kind of I feel like there's, especially in the US here, there's a lot of hate going on. And
Yep,
we just need to realize that we're all the same and
yep.
we're all different
And
and
that labels are just that, labels. They're
yep.
not they're not indicators of who people are.
That's what I love about music, and I love your story as well, that it brings people
Thanks, man.
together, all different types of life, walks of life, brings us together, and there's something to be said about music alone, can move the soul like nothing else can. A sentence can't do that, a feeling can't do that, but music can do that for people. It could make you happy,
It can
sad.
also yeah. It can also put you back to a time and place,
Yes.
good or bad, but
Yep.
it can take you back to a time and place that you can't describe, like a smell can, or something where you go, "Oh my god," you know?
Absolutely.
And it's when it's one of more of those auxiliary senses that we have, right? We're all so used to, you know, words and words converting into stuff, but it's when those things that were part of the environment, whether it was a song that you got your first kiss to or, whatever
First
it might
breakup.
be. Yeah, yeah, let's not that's a 10-part mini series right there, Tony, but yes, I'm with you on that.
Yep, I love it. Mike, it was nice to meet you, brother. I hope in the future maybe we could do some, and I'll definitely I'll
Yeah,
come out the show and I'll say I know you. I'll name drop you. I'm definitely
that
gonna come check
yeah.
out a show. You're not too
And
far from
that'll
me,
get
so
you
I'll
all
definitely
the
come.
support people will go, "Really, that asshole? My god, alright,"
you know,
but
I
yes,
I I
please do. Yeah, please do.
good. I
I was
I used to
I
be
was just gonna say,
good.
let's talk once we get to September, and I've got the lineup, and we'll do that, and we can certainly do this as well and go through the lineup once it's all solid and sealed too.
Absolutely, I would love that.
Yeah,
I would love that. I would, yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out a show too. My wife is also a fan of a lot of the people you named, and
great.
Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin. I love going up there. It's nice up there. So I'm definitely gonna
Yeah.
check out a show. I just want to tell you, brother, keep doing what you're doing. You're a special human being for doing
No,
that, for
thanks, man.
caring about others and turning something. I mean, you're not from hearing from just listening to you. You're not only helping that cause, your charity as well, and those people that are going through, what you have gone. It sounds like you're helping out the singers to have just a good time too, and
You know, I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that.
and I mean, I imagine all the people who love this music as well that go to your shows, they're having a blast as well. So
They
you're
are.
helping more than one cause, and I love it. And
Well,
the passion
that's
you
really
have,
kind of
brother,
you.
there's nothing like. I love talking to people like you. I've been smiling this whole interview. I love it. It's just there's nothing like that. We need more
Yeah.
people like you, Mike. And if there's
Well,
anything
Tony, I
else you want to
appreciate that.
say, if not, thank you again for being on the show, brother.
It's my job. I got to do this. Everybody, if you can hit us with a follow, that the algorithms love, even if you're never going to open up your Instagram or Facebook or whatever again, hit us with a follow. The other thing, first of all, make sure you like this podcast, Tony's podcast. I'll
Thank
do
you.
that plea. The likes and the comments are critical to the algorithm.
Yes.
So please do that for Tony's podcast and then hop on over to Joey's song and do the same thing. Even if you don't ever download, the world is run by the algorithms and AI
Yes,
right
it
now.
is.
And the way people can find us is all of this follow stuff. So if you can do that, you will have helped Tony's cause and you will have helped my cause. So
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I will definitely be one of those people helping your causes because when you help something bigger than you, man, I'm in 100%. I love it. Thank you
appreciate
for
it, dude.
everybody listening. Mike, thank you for being a part of the show. Peace.
You bet.